Hey you guys, it's Peter. And I used to do that in my old videos, and I'm back. Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. I'm YouTube famous now. Are you guys ready for a story time? Are you ready for multiple story times? That one hair, I can never fix it. Anyway. Hi, I'm the Anderson Cooper of YouTube. I'm sitting in my office because it's Friday and I just had some meetings and I'm like, Friday night. Do you ever just like hang out in your office, like if you work in a place like this, like after like Friday at 5 o'clock, because like it's like you're so excited for the weekend, but you're just like, okay, I just want to relish kind of in the moment for a second. So that's what I was doing. I was just like sitting here and I was like, it was just, you know, me and Jake from 16 Candles. Anyway, I was just sitting here and I was talking to somebody earlier and we were talking about, well, I was actually talking about my mom because it was interesting. like they said something about like, how long has your mom been gone now since she passed away? And I said it was 9 years yesterday, actually. And then I said, well, actually, I think not. Janis Joplin. But actually, the date is the 14th, which will be Sunday, which is Mother's Day. I know, how upsetting, right? I said to my friend the other night, I said, you know, it's so funny when people say to me, like, I'm so sorry about your mom. I'm like, it's been 9 years. Like, I don't know really what to say when people say that. It's very nice. Thank you so much. But I don't really know what to say about it, right? So anyway, I was telling some funny stories in here about my mom. And so the person I was talking to went to the same high school that my cousin went to. And I was saying, you know, like, oh, when my cousin was in high school, she had these two girlfriends. We were talking about like mean girls, right? And she was like, this girl was like, well, I was never a mean girl. And I was like, well, my cousin kind of was. I said, oh, well, who were you in the group? I said, were you Karen? Were you Gretchen Wieners? Or were you Regina George? And she was like, well, I wasn't Gretchen. And she goes, and I was definitely not Regina George. And she goes, we weren't really the mean girls anyway. And I go, so you were the Karen, but you're just too dumb to know it. I was totally the Gretchen Wieners, okay? I like am the gossip. I'm like, let's be for real, okay? So anyway, but I was telling her that my cousin and her friends went to the same school that she went to, and I was telling the story that when, I guess my aunt and uncle were rather liberal when my cousin was like a senior in high school, or I don't know, because I can remember, like, I would have been at the time like 13, going over to my aunt and uncle's house on the weekends with my mom and staying there for like the whole weekend, right? My aunt and uncle had this amazing patio with all this gorgeous like wrought iron furniture, and people just come over there. It was beautiful. I used to want to write a memoir about my mom and call it The Pretty Drinker, because I could remember her just sitting out there and just looking gorgeous and smoking cigarettes and just drinking, like, you know, what she drank, gin and tonics. So anyway, but I can remember them all standing around the island in the kitchen, and it was like my cousin and her two friends, and then my mom, and they would all like be laughing. Like my mom was one of these high school girls because she was like the single woman, you know? So then flash forward, we're at my wedding, okay? And so we're in Vegas at the Cosmopolitan, and my cousin came there. She was my best man, so to speak, and my aunt and uncle were there. But anyway, a very good friend of mine also graduated with my cousin Caroline from her high school, and we were at the pool one day. My cousin's very humble today, and she's totally like not into the popular thing at all, like from high school. She could care less. She doesn't even talk to people from high school anymore. She's like, I don't remember that person, whatever, right? So we're laying by the pool one day, and my friend Heather was like, Caroline, you were so popular in high school. And Caroline's like laying there and she was like, no, I wasn't. I really wasn't. And she was like, I realized like years later that my cousin Caroline was the Regina George. Okay, I had no clue in high school. I thought she was just kind of the girl that everybody was friends with. She was totally the Regina George, okay? So we're laying there by the pool, and Heather's like, Caroline, you were so popular in high school. And Caroline's like, oh, Heather, that was so long ago. No, I wasn't really. Now, my cousin Caroline and her friends were in this sorority in high school called Dolls. And it was like, it was a sorority, you know what I'm saying. So anyway, and a lot of high schools don't have them, but up here in Indianapolis, there's like 2 high schools that had sororities. So anyway, so Heather kept on going on. She's like, oh no, Caroline, you really were. You were so popular. Everybody loved you. And Caroline was like, laying by the pool quiet. She's like, no, Heather, they didn't. And she was like, I mean, you were in Dolls, Caroline. You were in Dolls. And Caroline's like, yeah. Whatever, Heather. And Heather goes, Caroline, she goes, you were secretary of Dolls. And Caroline goes, I was president of Dolls. Yeah, Caroline, we've come a long way from high school, haven't we? Like, you're still holding on to that precedent of dolls. But I was thinking about that because I was thinking about, like, in reference to me and my good Judies in high school, which I had good Judies. I didn't have good Joes. I had good Judies. Listen, okay? Golden star. So all of my friends in high school were girls. I know it's probably really hard to believe, but it's the truth of the nature. Now, I had crushes on all of the skater guys, so if you're a skater guy that I went to high school with out there, I had a total crush on you in high school, all of you. I mean, every single one of you, and I remember your names to this day, so just get over it. You're irrelevant now because you didn't want me. Now you do because I'm YouTube famous, but guess what? The time's up. So anyway, I was thinking about my friends and I was like, I miss Friday nights in high school so much. And this girl that I was talking to was like, I hated high school. And I was like, well, I hated high school too, up until like 5 o'clock when I was like out with my good Judies in high school and we're like tooling around town. And she's like, well, what did you used to do in high school? I was like, oh God. Well, we used to hang out on the roof of the Hilton Hotel downtown and smoke clove cigarettes. We used to go out to dinner quite a bit to this fondue place called Schaefer's. We'd all share. They probably thought we were so cheap. There's like 6 of us, and we would share like, we'd each get waters and share like one cheese and chocolate fondue that probably cost $15, split 5 ways, right? We were so cheap. But anyway, we would just drive around. Well, my senior year, I had a lot of good Judies, but my best Judies, we'll call them, I can't give them fake names, but I know that they wouldn't want anybody to know, right? Oh, the stories I could tell. So anyway, I have some real stories from high school and college. My best Judy, okay, and she knows who she is from kindergarten all the way out through. I have some real stories for her. And I will never forget one time we got stuck. One of our very best friends moved to Princeton, Indiana, like when we were like juniors. And Princeton, Indiana is like small town America, southern Indiana. And she moved down there because her parents won the lottery and they bought this. We used to call it the Chateau in the Woods. It was an A-frame house. And we used to call it the Chateau in the Woods. I totally right now feel like I'm talking to one of my good friends from high school. It's so funny. And we would go down there. And we would go down there on the weekends. It would just totally to get wasted drunk. My mother would say to me, I don't understand what the appeal is to go down there to Princeton, Indiana. There's nothing good to do down there. Well, our parents would totally let us just get drunk, right? And so we would get wasted drunk sitting there, and we would buy lottery tickets, and then her mom would make us pass them all around until we got the winning lottery ticket. None of us ever won. And they had these cornfields behind us that we would go into and all this kind of stuff. And I remember we would go into the P-Town cruise line, which was basically where everybody just gets, did you grow up in middle America? Okay, so towns have cruise lines, and what you do is at like 9 or 10 o'clock on like a Saturday night, you go and like everybody just cruises and follows each other through town. Well, one night in Princeton, when we were down there was this huge fire on the square, so we all just stood around and watched this fire and thought it was like, the whole square was burning down. We thought it was the coolest thing in the entire world. But anyway, so that was going to Princeton, Indiana. I forgot all about that. It was so much fun. And we used to go, after that, no, it was during then we used to go to Evansville, Indiana, birthplace of Amy Slayton. We used to go down to Evansville, Indiana, and there was this club. There was 2 clubs. One was Punk Rock Club, and it was called the Ross. True punk rock club, okay, like Pretty in Pink. And then the other one was called the Vic. And I remember my good Judies and I were down there, and we were dancing one night. And my friend, I can't say her name, but we were like dancing, you know, and then she kept on going like this. Like this. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? And she's like, somebody's pulling my hair. And I go, what? She's like, somebody just pulled my hair. And then we turn around, there's these 2 big girls. And they were like, girl, you need to quit hitting on my boyfriend. And their boyfriend's sitting there, and he's like 5'2". Nobody's wanting him. Okay, let's just be for real. And my friend goes, I don't know, but somebody's pulling my hair. And girl goes, you better what? Watch out, I'll be pulling your hair. And she's like, so anyway, we got out of there before she got into a fight. Oh, good times, good times. That was the one time, too, that we stopped into the Hardee's down there to get something to eat. And we went to the counter, and the girl said to us, this comes up in another video, too, somewhere that somebody called this, because my friend in Seymour, actually, she called this the same thing. We were in there, and we're like, yeah, we just need to use the bathroom. She's like, that's all you want? And we're like, yeah. And she goes, Earl, 2 for the shitter. I will never forget my friend. She was like, we got in the car. She was like, we're never going to another Hardee's again. That is so disgusting. And then flash forward when I was dating my ex from Seymour, his friend from Seymour, she called it the shitter too. I was like, what is this, an Indiana thing? But anyway, so back in the day, what we used to do was me and my best friend and my two other friends, we would drive around, and my one friend, she had a minivan, her mom's minivan, and we would drive in it, and then we would pick up our fifth friend, okay, when she got off working at Burger King, and we used to call it the BK Lounge, because she worked at Burger King Lounge. It was like a lounge, I don't know why. She worked there like, I don't know, since she was like 12 or how old you can work there. And she hated it, but she worked there like all through college and paid her way through, anyway, hard worker. So we would pick her up when she got off work, and she worked with this woman named Naomi that was like 40 but kind of resembled her a little bit. And so she had Naomi's fake ID, and so we would like drive straight to the Marsh grocery store, right? And she'd be like, no, you guys, please don't make me do it. Okay, we were obsessed with the UB40 song called Red, Red Wine. We love that song. We played it like, I mean, until the tape died, okay? We called ourselves the Red Wine Girls all day long. Peter and the Red Wine Girls, but I was one of the Red Wine Girls. So anyway, we would pull into the parking lot. We'd be like, girl, go in there. You've got to get us some Boone's Farm and some Purple Passion. Do y'all remember Purple Passion? It's Everclear and Fruit Punch, and it comes in like, it's purple, and it comes in a 2-liter. She'd be like, no, you guys, please don't make me do it. Please don't make me. I'm so afraid. Don't make me do it. We just sit there and go, come on, Naomi, don't you know me? He called her Naomi, don't you know me? Because her fake ID was Naomi, right? So finally she'd go, oh, okay, fine. So she would walk inside, and she would go and she would buy like us each a bottle. We each got our own bottle of Boone's Farm wine. Then we'd share a 2-liter of Purple Passion. And then she would be so pissed, she'd be like, take me home. And we'd be like, all right, girl, we got our fluid now. Go. We don't care. So we would drive her home, and then she would go to bed because she had to open the BK Lounge at like 5 in the morning. What assholes we were, right? And we would go get our drink on in somebody's basement. Oh my God, good times. And then we went over to our good GD's house. I mean, good times until I ended up being an alcoholic that had to get sober at 22 because I completely just destroyed my life, right? But this one time we were over at our other good Judy's house, who lived like one street over from me, and they all thought I was staying at my mom's house, but I was actually staying at my dad's house, which was like a half an hour away, like on the lake. And I had forgotten that I was staying there because I was so drunk. So anyway, and I couldn't just show up at my mom's house because that would make no sense, right? And so we're at our friend's house, and my friend and I were drinking wine coolers. This is back when you drink wine coolers, and Boone's Farm and Purple Passion, all this kind of stuff. And she is so wasted, and she's not having to drive anybody home, right? So we were gonna stay there. She's like, everything's berries. Everything's berries. I was like, everything's berries. Well, I wasn't that intoxicated, right? And my other good Judy, she wasn't drinking at all. She was like, okay, fine, I'll drive everybody home because this is ridiculous. She was like, and thank God, because I have to be at home at 1 o'clock, and at this point it's like 12 o'clock anyway. So she goes, it's time for us to go. We need to go. We need to take all of you fools home. It's time for us to go. So we start bagging up our alcohol because we're like, I think it was a Friday night. We're like, we're gonna drink tomorrow night. Well, our friend dated this guy that was like 25, and I think he had bought us the alcohol that night, and he was like, no alcohol, leave. She ended up marrying this dude. They got divorced though. He was like, no alcohol leaves this house. And my friend that was everything berries was like, I'll tell you something about no alcohol. She fell right on the floor with all her berries. Anyway, so then they had to take us home. They had to take us home. And they're like driving down my street, and I am like so wasted. I'm like, I'm at my dad's house. So they had to drive me all the way out to my dad's house. Good times, good times. I miss those days in high school. Not so much that, but like I do miss just like driving around with my friends. My good Judy Margaret and I can say her name because she don't watch these videos and she don't have Facebook or any of that kind of stuff. But my good Judy Margaret, oh, I loved her so much. We were such good friends. She and I, every day after school, true story, would drive all the way to Castleton Mall, which was about 20 minutes away because we could not be bothered with any of the high school kids because we thought we were so punk rock and different listening to the Smiths and we're in concert. We were real different. We thought we were. But anyway, so we would drive 20 minutes away, 15, 20 minutes to Castleton Mall so we could go to the Wendy's so that we could get a double cheeseburger plain, large fry, and a Frosty, each of us. And we ate that every day. And then I would go home and my mom would go, oh my God, I just made meatloaf. Are you hungry? And I'd be like, yeah, Mom, sure. She always thought I had an eating disorder in high school, and it was just because I'd eaten a double cheeseburger right before. Oh my God, that same friend of mine, she had twin sister, right? Well, I was friends with one of them one year and then the other one the other year. like best friends, and their parents would go to town for the weekend. Their parents were like ultra conservative Republican, like very like religious, right? Mom was always sitting at the kitchen table reading a Bible, always. And like her name, I can't say her last name, like Mrs., but when her first name was Peg, and when we would walk downstairs, we'd all just be like smoking, like ready to smoke a cigarette and going out the door. We'd all be like, bye Peg! She like didn't acknowledge any of us, like never. Like my mom was like sitting on the front porch stoop smoking cigarettes with my friends, but if I came out, she'd be like, oh, you should never be smoking, Peter, it's horrible for you. I'd be like, Mom, you smoke with all of my friends. She'd be like, well, that's totally different, I relate to them. I'm like, Mom, you are not a good role model. So anyway, love you, Mom, but it's a true story of the nature. Anyway, so one time their parents went out of town and they got them a babysitter, and they were like 17, and it was this woman that her mom worked with or something like that, and we called her Eyebrows because she had these huge bushy eyebrows that went up like that. So we are all sitting on the patio, right, the screened-in patio, and we're all like literally smoking cigarettes, like 2 in each thing and all this kind of stuff, drinking. And Eyebrows walks in the door, and I mean to tell you, cigarettes are flying, all this kind of, we burnt so many holes and things. My friends were cutting out carpet. Do you remember back in the day when you put the cigarette out on that shag carpet and you have to cut out the shag carpet? You should have seen their carpet. It was hole central. This is probably the worst story time in the entire world, but I've had kind of a fun time reliving it. I miss those days. You know what got me started on this is that, like, earlier today, well, talking to that girl, but earlier today, I was listening to Just Like Heaven by The Cure. Oh my God, that's one of my all-time favorite songs of all time. I miss that music, like New Order and The Cure and The Smiths and all that kind of Gene Loves Jezebel. If you guys don't know that music, you totally need to listen to it. I love it. I love it so much. So anyway. And if you're in high school, don't drink. It's bad for you. And if you're of drinking age, don't drink and drive. It's bad for you. And other than that, have fun. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. And follow me on all my social media. I'm super active. I hope you guys have a wonderful Mother's Day this weekend. If you do not have a mother, reach out to some woman in your life that means a lot to you and make her day super special. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.